Welcome back to the show, everybody. Well, most people go into labor assuming that the hospital has their best interests at heart. But what happens when your pain is ignored, your concerns are dismissed, and decisions are made for you rather than with you? Well, for many Black and marginalized women, this isn't just hypothetical, it's reality.
Today, we're sitting down with a longtime doula and childbirth educator to discuss how having the right support in the delivery room can mean all the difference between a traumatic birth and an empowering one. Please welcome to the show, Suzanne Lim.
Yeah. Okay, I'm so glad you're here. It's such a very important question. So my first question is, first of all, just give us the definition. What is a doula? And then kind of break down the different kinds of support that you provide as a doula.
Great. So a doula is a trained birth and postpartum professional who provides emotional support, physical support, and educational support to their clients. So what that might look like is a birth doula might attend a birth with their clients and provide help with comfort measures, educate them about all the different ways that they can navigate their birth experience, help them come up with good questions to ask their care providers, and help them navigate if things get a little bit rough.
Okay. Okay, so I guess the obvious question, what's the difference between a doula and a midwife?
So a midwife is also a trained professional, but a trained medical professional. A midwife would do sort of the same sort of things that your doctor would do. Doulas are about support. They don't do any clinical care stuff. So they do the emotional, the physical support, like I mentioned. Midwives order testing, screening, can write prescriptions, and they actually deliver the baby. So midwives and doulas really complement each other very well.
So when I was thinking about getting pregnant, one of the things that I was absolutely terrified was the idea of giving labor. I knew that was kind of inevitable. I also was terrified about being in the hospital. And one of the things that helped me was having both a midwife and a doula. But I do remember that my partner, Jason, at one point in time was like, okay, so you got a midwife, you got a doula, like, what the heck am I doing here? And yet, now in retrospect, he said, like, thank goodness we had both because they were doing very different things. So what do you say to partners out there who are like, what the heck am I doing here for?
Well, this is a question that I get all the time. Partners who are usually dads, but not always, partners are always worried that they're going to be replaced by the doula. And I always reassure the family that when you hire a doula, you're not replacing anybody, you're actually adding to the birth team. So the doula is there to be a part of the birth team. I consider myself to be the senior member of the birth team. Not in that kind of way, but just because I am the one that has the most knowledge among the three of us about the birth process. And so I can also be an objective person when things are getting rough, things are getting hard, when they're worried and scared. I can stand back and help them navigate all of those things, all of the questions that they have. They're emotionally invested in this event, and I'm not. I'm there in a professional capacity. Wow. So you're not replacing anybody, you're adding to the birth team.
All right, I love that. All right, so Suzanne, research shows that doulas, actually, their support can lead to shorter labor times and lower C-section rates.
Yes.
And it's not regulated by the Ministry of Health and isn't covered under OHIP.
That's right.
So what can the cost of hiring a doula, like, what does it all add up to at the end?
So I can't speak for everywhere because doula support, the costs vary depending on where you live. So I can only speak for Toronto. So in Toronto, birth doula package ranges, so this is a range from about $1,500 to $2,000 for a birth package. So that's all the support from beginning to end. And the higher end cost might be because that doula carries different kinds of certifications. Some doulas are registered massage therapists or yoga instructors or something like that. So that's the range in Toronto right now. Then we have postpartum doulas who usually charge an hourly rate. And I would say that that goes between $40 to $50 an hour. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a doula and it was worth every penny.
Right?
Every penny. Yeah, if she's watching, shout out Denise Hu, I'm talking to you. Okay, the term, let's talk about a term that I don't know if people have heard about before, obstetric racism. Some people call it obstetric violence.
Yep.
And it refers to the systemic racism that marginalized women can face during pregnancy and also at childbirth. And you say you have seen this firsthand. So what does this look like? What does this sound like? What is happening?
Unfortunately, most doulas have seen this in some form or the other. If you ever work with people of color or if you have clients from any marginalized groups. So this can be small microaggressions like dismissing a person's concerns, ignoring somebody's concerns, trivializing their concerns, assuming that people of color feel pain in a different way. And so that impacts the way that you're treated. And those are microaggressions. Then you can have more serious things where people are called names or assumptions are made about the motivations behind people's decisions and so forth. So it can be extremely traumatic, particularly for families of color.
So studies show that in Canada, the preterm birth rate among Black women is almost twice as high as that of white women. And you say that social determinants of health is the reason. Can you expand a little bit about that?
So the social determinants of health are those things in our lives that affect our ability to access healthcare, our ability to keep good healthcare. So things like living in poverty, being underhoused, being food insecure, having English as your second or third language, not having immigration status, et cetera. Those are the things that impact people's lives. It impacts how they access healthcare, if they can impact healthcare, and how they correspond with how they communicate with their healthcare providers and so on.
All right, so what changes would you like to see in the healthcare system to better support birthing individuals?
Well, first of all, Canada as a whole, we don't like to collect race statistics about anything.
Talk about it.
We don't like to do that because we like to pretend that everything is wonderful and cozy and rosy.
We learned that during COVID.
Here. Exactly. And collecting race statistics can give us a bigger picture about what's going on. How can we solve problems if we don't know exactly what's going on? So that's one thing. And second of all, the people who have the money and the power to make changes to policy need to listen to us, the people who are here living the things. We're doing the work, and we need to. They need to listen to what we have to say about those social determinants of health. Fix those things, and you will see better outcomes.
That's what I'm talking about. Suzanne, thank you so much for being here. A wonderful conversation, a very important conversation. Thank you so much. If you or anyone you know is looking for more information on doula care, head to bpdoulas.com and don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.